Creating beyond calculation, beyond politics, and beyond the big two. Welcome, Silverliners, to the wonderful world of Wednesday Wham. I'm your host, Dean Zachary, and it looks like we've got the Lean Mean Away team with us tonight. Some of us aren't so lean anymore, but you know, it's okay. We're committed.
I'm working on it.
We're that's right. We've got Rob Davis, the Paragon of Pencils. We have both Wizards of Wordplay with us tonight. We have Rory Boyle and Scott Wakefield. So, you know, Rory, Scott, glad to have you both here tonight. We're going to need all hands on deck as far as pithy comments and intelligent observation. So I guess we're done here.
That's it. That's it. Can we get somebody else on the horn here, please?
Barb's not here, so
we get a ringer. You know, we need a ringer.
People are just going to have to ignore most of what we say. But tonight's subject, just setting the table here, is behavior at comic book conventions. The good, the bad, and the ugly, the pros and cons, the guidebook to what to say and do and what not to say and do so you won't be arrested. As I was doing a little bit of research
or both.
Yeah. As I was doing a little show prep beforehand, I found that a lot of the advice given had to do with anti-harassment, advice. And we all understand that there are a lot of cosplayers these days. That's become a big part of comic book conventions. So we might as well just start by addressing the cosplay issue, since that seems to be an important aspect of con going. And for those of you who don't know what that is, which is like one of you, it's people dressing up like their favorite characters. They're usually judged on not just the accuracy of the comic book outfit or costume, its accuracy regarding its reinvention for live action cinema, and sometimes even, you know, how impactful it is, being as tactful as I can there. Yeah. So what we try to do is be complimentary and respectful of people who are brave enough to dress up. And when you address them, you just show respect. So if you have, you know, a good compass as far as behavior, like Aaron's not here, so you're going to just have to give your our best. But just kidding, Aaron, wherever you are when you see this, not really. So basically, let's start with Scott, since we haven't heard from him in a while. Welcome back, Scott. I know you've been on a bit of a hiatus for the summer, and we're glad to have you back. Talk to us about when you first started going to cons and started noticing the prevalence of costumed cosplayers around you.
Well, so for me, I still don't quite get it. Meaning, it's not my thing, and I get. But what I love, I will preface all of this with saying that cons and any sort of, I mean, it doesn't have to be a comic. I'll use it as a broad term, because I've been to many a motorcycle gathering and many a car show or something. And that's really where you let your geek flag fly, right? I mean, if you're going to get just like, whoa, about a 4-barrel carburetor, you're going to have the same guy go, yeah, about the second edition off-center printing of Superman number whatever. You know, it's the same kind of like geek level stuff.
Sure.
So some people might not understand the phenomenon of sitting in your lawn chair with the hood up of your 67 Chevy. I kind of think that's boring too, but okay. But then also putting on the costume, for me, doesn't, I don't know, that's never been a thing for me. But if people want to do it, and that's like that's the way, it's like, this is me, I get to, and this is the space to do it, I love it. Go for it. Sometimes I do think it is a little too on the, like, they could use a few more stitches of clothing. That's just my thought. Because being an adult male, sometimes it's a little uncomfortable with the lack of clothing. But hey, a lot of times, okay, people love it, and you look like Sailor Moon, or you look like Wonder Woman, or some really obscure character in an anime episode from 2006 that, you know, they want to be really obscure. Great. I love it. You've put time into it. It's a hobby. It's fun, and you enjoy it. So yeah, I love it. I mean, meaning I love that people do it. I don't go, like they always do a parade, they always do like a show and then a judging thing. Like, man, it's not really my thing, but
not
fine.
really your thing. So
go do it. Just like if you want to draw this or be that or write this. Right. That's the beauty of these, especially the geeky conventions, the Comic Cons or variations on that theme. It's
That's the place to do it.
Come be, and hopefully no one's gonna give you a hard time.
You would say that in a gathering of enthusiasts, which is what these conventions are, there's an expectation that the enthusiasm level will include costumes, and some of them will be eccentric, outlandish, and maybe even provocative. But what would you say the defining code of behavior should be for those of us who attend and don't partake in the costuming, but we are observers? What's your guiding?
I would say appreciating it. Just again, put it in like car or motorcycle terms. I'm not into like a low rider with the hydraulics in the system or anything. I can appreciate that person, that's their passion, and they have poured their heart and soul and probably lots of money into this, just like costumes, because you'll see some that are real simple. I love looking online, worst cosplay stuff, like the Iron Man guy that's got like paper bags that are red and yellow, but he obviously put zero effort into it, and you can kind of but the people that, like, you see those transformer things that actually transform and have LEDs and stuff, awesome. I can appreciate the effort. At Pittsburgh, there was a Rory, that she was 6-7 years old, she had like a plaid skirt on, ears. I don't remember what else, and we asked, "What are you?" And she said, "Oh, nothing. I just like the way it looked." And she was adorable. And that's really cool. And then she put this Tyrannosaurus Rex mask on and said, "Thank you." It was nothing. It was what she felt.
Like Halloween.
She felt really cool, and so I appreciate it, and I appreciate that it speaks to you, and it's an expression and an extension of yourself. So I think, I don't know, appreciate's kind of feels like a lame word, but I appreciate and acknowledge that's you're passionate about that.
Yeah, in terms of appreciation, I think we should almost give that appreciation on two levels. The obvious level of excellence and achievement, where it looks either exactly like the comic book version or exactly like the movie version of the comic book version. I got to give props, whether it was done with because they had deep pockets or they were just extremely ingenious in their crafting.
And inventive,
But I think there also should be an appreciation for what I call the grassroots person that didn't have a lot of money to spend, but they figured out how to do something that's impressive in its ingenuity.
Right.
I mean, if you can look pretty good like Iron Man and all you used was some styrofoam packing material and some cardboard, but you pulled it off to a certain level, I'm like, okay, you deserve props just for doing the shoestring version.
And add to that, if they can get a group of people to do that, that's even more impressive. When they got a crew of X-Men, or they got Avengers, or they got Speed Racer, or who knows what, it's always very impressive, extra impressive because they've coordinated, and then sometimes they'll even act out stuff. I think that's fun. It's fun. It's sometimes silly.
It adds to the spectacle.
Exactly.
Say. Rory, what about you? Any favorite or inexplicable cosplay from your relatively brief experience in the convention-going world?
I like the ones that are just out there enough. Like when you and I were in Memphis.
Yes.
And the British Avengers walked by. Like, oh, man.
Not Marvel's Avengers. The Avengers.
That's very clever, and
that was good.
Yes.
Low budget, but it got the point across, and I love, especially if you could make your own. That's what it used to be. I think that's still the epitome of it all.
Absolutely.
It is kind of like that the last minute, sometimes the Halloween, I can put a fedora and a leather jacket. I'm Indiana Jones. or jeans and a ripped T-shirt. I'm Logan.
It's like,
butter knives between my fingers.
that was favorite story that Hugh Jackman told is that the first time he went to Comic-Con in San Diego, it was the first Comic-Con ever. It was after the first X-Men movie came out,
Mm-hmm.
and he wore the costume. He's like, I've never done it before out in public, but I was like, yeah, I got to go do it. And he said some guy came up to him and he went, nah, too tall.
Perfect.
Yeah, he was like, really? Because I'm never mind.
Yeah. But can you imagine his response? Like, look, mate, oh, never mind. You know,
right.
Wasn't it? Was it Charlie Chaplin that lost in a look-alike contest?
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
it does, Scott. Rob, what about you, my friend? Having been the veteran of quite a few of these events, I'm sure you've got a favorite cosplay and then most ingenious shoestring budget cosplay.
I've been going to the Planet Comic-Con show since it started. That's 20 some years now. 22, I think, 23.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there were regularly every year we'd see these same 3 or 4 guys. One of them did a perfect penguin. Wow. He had an impeccable suit. He had the nose, but the makeup, but everything was great, and he did the perfectly. So that one was right on, and it was it wasn't a shoestring one, but this is this guy that I really appreciated, and for a couple of years there, before the pandemic, we didn't see him. And then at the last Planet Comic-Con, he was back. So, yay! Awesome. The penguin was back. And then there is a young lady who does Supergirl, mm-hmm. and she actually for Planet Comic-Con, and she actually goes to Children's Mercy Hospital to visit with the kids, along with other cosplayers. She takes along other people. So I want to do a shout out to her. I wish I knew her name so I could say what her name is, but she does Supergirl, and she goes to Kansas City's Children's Mercy Hospital. And but there are other people that they go through, and the one that got me this last show, this lady was on a scooter, and she was dressed all in gray, and she had made herself up to look like one of the statues from Doctor Who, from the episode Blink.
Blink,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And she was absolutely. It was very inexpensive, but she did the whole thing. She would stop when you'd look at her, but she really had it down. She had a beautifully made costume, but it was definitely shoestring. So you see all sorts of things. Then there's another guy whose son uses a wheelchair, so he built an X-wing fighter to go over the top of his wheelchair, and he would roll that up and down the aisles, and it just an incredible piece of work. So there's all those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. So it goes everywhere from just what the heck was that, mm-hmm. Like you were saying earlier, what the heck is that, to just superbly done, professional looking costumes. Mm-hmm. And there's also a group of guys that run around the Planet Comic-Con every year, and it's all these different Spider-Man costumes. All these guys, and cool. Just essentially they've gone and bought an inexpensive Spider-Man costume, and there's 4 or 5 of them running around. And then there's some of them they will then chase Deadpool. There's like 3 or 4 guys that are playing Deadpool, and they'll chase each other around. So it just they can have a lot of fun. The biggest problem I have with cosplay is those that just stop in the middle of the aisle. Somebody comes up and says, I want to take your picture. They're in the middle of a very busy aisle, and they stop, and all the traffic just stops, while people gather around them and take pictures. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm at the show to make some money. And when you stop in front of my table, after I take my picture, please, there's a spot right over there that they fixed for everybody to go take pictures of for cosplay. So go pose over there. And folks, please stop stopping them in the middle of an aisle to take pictures of them. Ask them when they're going to be over in that area next time, so you can take a picture of them and go over and do that.
That's good advice. That's good advice, and that brings
Yeah.
me to the behavior protocol segment, and that is we want to talk about. That's a good one. Don't block the aisles. You'll hear that at the larger conventions, namely San Diego. They'll actually have the expected voice come over the intercom.
Yep.
Please do not blah 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 the aisles.
Aisle.
But that's a good rule. Don't block the aisles. Don't pause. And time management. I want to talk about this. We're gonna segue from talking about time management with when talking to fans, and then also to selling to fans. But let's start with talking to fans. There is a protocol to this. Those of us who've been in the business for a while and gone to many cons, and we're selling art, or we're selling sketches or prints or comics or what have you, and many times people want to talk to you and they want to keep talking to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes this extends beyond a level that is really comfortable, not only for you, but for the other folks that are around the table.
Yeah.
And it's real important for people who attend and meet their favorite creators or someone for the first time, or they're just curious about what the creator has there with them. It's important that you spend the time that is, I would say, fair, discussing with the person, but this is not the moment to pitch your own ideas. Luckily, I have been fortunate enough to have fans understand that and be very fair with their time with me. They'll ask me usually, and this is, please do this with artists, and when you come up with your portfolio, always ask, do you have a moment to look at my portfolio? And if it's a very thick portfolio, if you're an artist and you've been asked this, that you don't want to feel like you're just glossing over the pages of the person they've put their heart and soul into this. And this may be the first time they're ever showing their work to somebody that they admire or somebody in public. So it's very important to be respectful of their feelings and expectations. You don't want to dash their hopes if the talent really isn't there. At the same time, you don't want to give them a false sense of unreality, drawing X-Men next year. So what you want to do is be judicious about your time. Pick one or two images and look at those images and say, I really like what you did here. Find something positive to say about their work, and keep the negatives to a minimum. Find something positive to say, and always encourage them, even if you see a very little chance that the person might ever make it as an artist. You got to compliment at least their enthusiasm, because you never know. They could go to art school, improve, and be a big star one day. So I always use the compass of conversation there to lean into encouragement and a careful critique, and always pick out the positive elements and focus on those. Rob, have you run? I know you've run into that before.
Many times, yeah.
Do you have any additional advice?
Just say it stinks.
You even try?
There's a tricky edge there. It's a tightrope you're walking between being too encouraging and not being encouraging enough. Mm-hmm. Like you were talking about, somebody comes up to you with a really horrible looking portfolio. Mm-hmm. It's going to be really tough to find anything positive to say. Wait a minute. Okay. Con etiquette stream.
Hi, Paige.
Paige Hall. Hey. But yeah, it's difficult then to find something, but you got to find something to say, yeah, you need to work on things, but I like what you did here.
Yes.
And there's usually something you can find. Maybe there's a technique that they use that you go, wow, that's great. You need to work on that kind of thing even more. So yeah, you got to find something to be positive about. But a couple of times I've run across people, I know an editor you need to go talk to. Go talk to these people right now.
Well,
I've had a few of those.
That would make their day.
Your stuff is there or very close, go talk to this guy over here. So that's happened a few times. That's easy to take care of.
Yeah,
and I will usually flip through the whole portfolio really kind of quick, and then I'll go back and I'll go, okay, I really like this one, because being an artist as long as I've been an artist, you can see stuff pretty quick. But you page through the whole thing and you go, okay, just that was a quick look, but now I want to go back and tell you what I thought about some of these and look at some of these a little bit more. So it depends on the size of the portfolio. Thankfully, most I've seen never have more than like 20 pieces in it, which is okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's 10.
Yeah. You want
10
10
leads.
minimum. You want 10.
Yeah.
Because,
and if you're wanting to get into comics, don't bring pinups. Bring me something that shows what you can do telling a story.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of pinups over the years, and I go, well, this is all great stuff, but I can't tell whether you can do comics or not because you haven't shown me what you can do with telling a story. So find yourself a writer and get a script, or find a script online. There are a few out there you can get, and draw that, and then come back and show me that when you can. I think your techniques are great. I think your anatomy's good. Just bring me back some storytelling so I can see what you can do.
That's excellent. Scott, you wanting to make a comment?
Yeah, I was going to say one of the biggest things that I noticed, at least for me, is to change that dynamic of when you're at the con. If we're talking like the professional side of it, not just like an attendee.
Sure.
If you are trying to open doors, if it's possible to get a table, or at least get on the other side of a table, that really changes the dynamic. Now you've set yourself apart.
You're thinking differently.
And sometimes that bigwig might walk over to your table. They might come to you and say, hey, what do you have? Sure. And even just at the polite level. The other thing too is professionally be prepared. Lots of times, you say, oh, do you have a business card? They say, oh, I don't have a card. Oh, let me write it down. Yeah. Have a business card. Have something you can give. Right. Sure. And when I walk around, if I leave my table and walk around, I take a handful of business cards, because you never know. You never know if you're going to step into the bathroom with somebody that says, oh, what do you make? You never know. You're going to step onto the elevator with somebody. Just be prepared. Like, think professionally. Like you never know that moment. You might, that one moment. But the simplest thing I found is, if you can get a table, and be professional, not some schlocky, like throw your stuff. But if you can get on the other side of a table, at a con without breaking the bank, that changes the dynamic for you. And that's one door that can be open.
Definitely makes you start thinking in a different way too.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I want to take a moment and comment on Paige's comments.
Hi, Paige. Paige, Steam Patriot super fan.
Awesome. She says, con etiquette stream. Whenever I go to a con, I always follow the 6-2-1 rule. At least 6 hours of sleep between each day, at least 2 meals a day, and for the love of everything geek, at least 1 shower a day. Not dousing.
That's the best sentence.
Please, thank you. Thank you, Paige.
And photo etiquette should never stop at cosplay for suitor. Yes, if they look like they're going somewhere urgent. They could need an emergency break somewhere where they can de-suit out of view and to not break the character in front of people. Your photo can wait. An emergency can't. Yes, that goes under the be respectful
respect the person
banner. Yeah. She says, howdy, y'all. And she says, if only a big wig came to my tables.
But Paige, you're a big wig in and of yourself.
She's a big
in
wig
a heart.
Yeah. So, okay, another thing that Rob brought to mind as he was talking, and that is, when you talk to an artist, always be specific about what they can improve on. Don't just say keep working. Don't just say work on your anatomy. Be specific, because they really want to hear, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? So try to be specific about that. Use more shadows for separation in your figures. That's something I'll notice.
That's a good one.
Because a lot of people, like when I got started, it was all about line. Draw as many lines as possible. Let's get it on there. It looks detailed. It looks cool. But then you back up a little bit and everything looks like a train wreck because nothing's separate. So, add negative space, add some shadows to help move objects forward and backward into space, so on and so forth. Lighting is important. Negative space is important. composition is important. That's not what this particular stream is about, but I wanted to throw those in there because it does help artists
those
behind
are all
the
important.
table.
It's all good input to build on, And I'm no artist, but I'm pretty analytical. And if I'm looking through, it's like I like tattoos. So if I'm looking through a portfolio, it's like, okay, this person never draws hands, so that's not going to happen.
That's not good.
Well,
Even
that was a point that an editor told me one time. That's what he looked for in all portfolios. If you're hiding the hands behind,
you're not putting the work in,
or
right?
the feet,
or you're
off
afraid
the
to do
bottom. If you that shows you cannot draw hands and feet. So in fact, if you can, make sure you get one of these in your portfolio.
Yeah,
power
that's
hand.
Show how a hand is
power hand,
is drawn.
villain hand,
and
and
build
power
feet.
hand.
And don't do like Rob Liefeld and put a big ball around the top of each foot so you don't have to draw the freaking ankle.
Yes.
Draw ankles. Learn how to draw.
You guys talk too about like sometimes it's tough, especially in the art world. Just draw 1,000 hands and then you'll get
draw
hand. That's my advice from Scott the writer. Sometimes you see art out there, even, and I see in the storytelling world, like, or this is like America's Got Talent, where they show all the auditions, and you wonder how come none of their friends said you're not ready. You're not ready. And sometimes you walk around at the cons and you see work and you say, I know I can't, like, I'm not looking down from some high horse. I'm just saying, I'm looking at what you have. It needs work. And that's tough because you're right. You're like this on this knife edge of just destroying that person, crushing them forever. And they'll never put a pencil to paper ever again, or they'll buckle down and say, you know what? You're right. So that's a tough one. Cause you don't want to be that person that says,
you just got to say, so were you going for that?
Yeah, it's like when the kids are really little and they say, "Look what I drew." Tell me about it. What's
happening here?
Is it a bird? Is it an alligator? What is it?
No, it's a Rorschach test.
It's a house. What? Yeah. So because that's tough, especially like I'm for art, the art side of it. Like it's hard for like the writing side. People don't often bring up, "Hey, can you read my paragraph here?" And
I want to address that. You brought that up, and I want to address that now.
That's good.
We have
two writers. Be done, but it's not normal. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy because you have to read it. But sometimes they'll tell you about the story, and you'll be like, Either it will like right out. You can say, okay, that's been done 1 billion times. That's not original. That's derivative. Or you gotta jump 10 years into your story to get to the interesting point. When you can do that's helpful when it's obvious, down to like, okay, when you're the layout of your balloons and the pacing of speech, that gets tough. But
talk about an elevator pitch, Scott.
Elevator pitches. If you can trim it down to about 12 to 15 words, one sentence that describes, it's not like, if you like Harry Potter and it's much like the world of, but mashed together with, no, it's a fill in the blank career type person. Don't give the name. Don't be like John Smith Terwilliger, the Thatcher who lived in elderly Thatcher finds a magic cauldron and has to return it to that 5 and dime store, but is beset by badgers. You have to.
I'd read that.
Wait, write that down. The elderly Thatcher and the
elderly
Thatcher.
Written by
elderly Thatcher. You got to trim. So trim it down. You got to trim it, and say it many times, and find somebody, not your mom, not your best buddy. Say, Paige, if you so help me, if you steal my story,
because it's going on the fridge.
If you trim it down and say it a bunch of times, trim it down because it's got to be just enough to catch someone's interest. And Thatcher and Badgers. If you trim it down just enough, then then they can say, "Oh wait, tell me more," and then you can expand it into the paragraph.
Sure.
Because if you're trying to give the paragraph, if you're trying to give in a realm before the third age.
No, no, don't do that.
So yeah, elevator pitch and work on it a bunch of times on any story. Yeah. And then I know I beat this drum. This is what I tell all the writers, but finish the stinking story.
Yeah.
Write the whole thing. Write the whole thing.
Yep.
And then edit it. And that's my advice to all the. So if anybody's asking me, well, how'd you write your story? Well, you get over the beginning, middle, and end, and then you have something to polish. The Thatcher and Badger.
Yeah, great.
Thatcher and Badger. Thatcher and the angry Badgers. The elderly Thatcher.
I think Badgers are always angry.
Have you ever met a Badgers? In the kindly Badgers, that might be good. That'd be a twist. Oh man,
die at the end.
We're
the other Badgers kill him.
Here, people. We're
working.
I want to do a stream like that where we just off the cuff make a story.
Keep writing a story and keep adding adjectives and adverbs to our.
Sure. Why not? The improvisation stream.
Tell Roland that we're gonna create. We're gonna live create the next story, and he's got to commit to it.
Oh yeah. All right. We'll have him on the show with us.
That'll be a Kickstarter level.
He's got to greenlight it when we get to the end at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Greenlight it.
And the Kickstarter starts immediately.
And we click Kickstarter to go live.
Right. That'd be awesome. Okay, I want to reverse the POV for a moment. Now, you see an editor, and you're an aspiring writer, and you want to impress the editor. Okay, that's what you were describing. Mm-hmm. But let's invert it a little bit. What if you want to sell your book to the fan who's walking up? They're looking at the title. They're a bit curious. They're a little shy about talking to you.
Can I back up a little? For what I don't understand. Don't understand as someone who has come to you have paid, either you've paid or you've put in hours of time to load up your van, to load everything in your vehicle, to drive or fly or whatever, to get to the convention center hours before the doors open, the dark of night, through the freight elevator, up the stairs and around. You're lost. You've got to get your badge and your wristband, and you're there. And then yet you sit at a table doing this, and people walk by. I don't get it. They walk by and you don't look up. You don't say hi. You don't acknowledge them. I do not get that. So that's like for anybody at a convention, acknowledge the people walking by.
Yes.
The next thing, and Roland is awesome. I mean, if anybody's watched any of our shows or any of our, Roland is great. Hi, I'm Roland Man. Hey. And he's standing out at the end of the table. But that's what you need. So what I do, Paige asked why we're not funding the elderly Thatcher and his happy Badgers.
And the kindly Badgers.
It's kindly. Oh man. Okay. All
right.
If you're you got to talk. So what I say, and when Rory and I, hey, do you like American history? Or you like steampunk? That I just do you like Roland? Yeah. Do you like for comic books? Which is funny comics? That you have to ask them. Do you like hey? You like comic books? Because sometimes people are like,
but it's such a disarming question because
it is. But they're like, I'm just here with my old lady dragged me here. Sometimes, and you don't want to waste your time on that.
Sure.
And Roland also pointed out too, a lot of times cosplayers are not going to buy anything.
They're not.
But it's nice to be polite. But they're just going to come by and do their thing, and you're going to say, "Hey, cool costume." But
that's the best though when you try to put something in their hands and they have big gloves on and they can't grab something.
Right.
Give them a business card.
Yeah. Right. One of the things you brought to mind as well is, a good icebreaker opener is, especially if you're at a giant show, right? A really big presentation where there's a mix of comics and multimedia, television, movies, what have you, is to say, are you here for the comics?
Yes.
Are you here for the movies? Are you here for all of it? What are you? What brought you here today?
Right.
Then they tell you.
Them, yes.
What are you doing
because here's the thing: if they say, I'm here to see RDJ, he's going to be down there. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to sell him a comic, probably, right? But if they say, I'm a big comic fan, well, then you start narrowing it down. Mm-hmm. Are you into thriller, superhero, romance, action, adventure, horror? What kind of comics do you like? And then you start narrowing down their band of interest.
Right.
Once you get what they're into, what they're about, then you've got it. You can say, well, I'll tell you what. Here's what my comic is about. You may want to try it. Here's why. And then you can say, if you're not interested in the book itself, there's some prints. You're welcome to browse through. If you have any questions, let me know. There's always let them off the hook, which is my style. I'm not saying the higher pressure style is inappropriate as well. But I'm just saying my style is always make the presentation, leave them in the driver's seat. They will ask you if they're interested, and often taking the pressure off will bring a sale where the hardline pressure pushes them
People
away.
are like,
Yeah.
The other
and
thing
getting
too,
a comic in their hand that they can look
take
at.
a look at it. You're welcome to look. Well, it's nice when doing a Silverline. Well, Pittsburgh was the first Daytona, but the Silverline booth is because you can say, oh, we've got World War II, we've got space, we've got steampunk. So it's really cool. Like, if you're interested, there's just about everything.
Vampires.
Vampires. Got so many different stories. We've got crime fighting and all that. Yeah, so it's great because you can say, which one interests you, and then hand them the comic. The other thing too is early in the day, whatever day, is a lot of times people, they've got a pocket, they've got $50. They're going to do the whole circuit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be a little memorable. They got to remember, oh, that was really cool that I saw about an hour ago on the other side of the convention hall. So giving them a card, I would try. Business cards are cheap. If you can give them a little card, hey, come on back, because I understand. And, as a consumer too, I've got a limited amount of money in my pocket, and if I want to look at everything before I buy something. So I give that leeway, understanding that they're, especially also consider where you are too. If you're right by the door when people are just coming in, that's kind of a cool place to be because everyone's going to funnel through, but also they're going to want to see everything else before they come back.
But you'll be the first and the last.
Exactly. Yeah. And most of the time, if that's the traffic pattern, but those things to keep in mind. The other, and I've mentioned this one before, like with any gathering of people like this, when you have that person at your table that capitalizes on your time. And you try to be respectful, but I have this, my technique is I stand up most of the time. I don't like to sit. I will come around the table and I will move them to the side of the table. Then I'll kind of be able to
crowd control,
like give them an ear and nod. But if someone else walks up to the table, I'm ready to be like, just a sec. Because if you're stuck at the table, they'll stand in front of you and they'll talk. Sometimes
some people just don't get social cues.
Right. They don't. And they're excited and you want to accommodate that.
They're enjoying their time with you.
Also, they're not going to buy anything too. So sometimes I would love to sell a comic, but sir, madam, if you could just.
It's perfectly fine, in other words, to gently suggest, do you mind standing?
Yeah, just if you can, let's keep talking. But give me a
let me take care of this person
because you can't. Yeah, and you were saying too, Rob was saying the cosplayers, the crowd will stop right in front of your table.
Sure,
and you're stuck there.
Yeah, and
nobody but people will do that too. And you never know. Yeah, I mean, you may find a diehard fan, which is awesome. Which really, as a creator, that's endearing to find somebody that's like, man, I love this. To hear somebody say that, to love your story, I mean, it's your baby. And love it, and so you want to accommodate that. You want to cultivate that relationship, and cons are the places to, they get that extra special. They get to meet the creators, and as fans of the media, you get to go meet the creators. We're the same. That's why we're there too. We love the whole.
Sure. We've all been fanboys as well. Rob, tell us a little bit about your pitch style. Are you more the hard sell or the casual, take your time, look around and let me know? And
I can be both, but I am more like you in the fact that I sell prints more than anything else, and I have a layout that I have on my table. So I've got a book of all the prints that I have right in front of me, and people can page through that. So they walk up and they see that, and I give them, as I see them walk up, I might be drawing or whatever I'm doing at the table. I will give them my little pitch. All the black and white prints are $2. The color prints are $5 or $8 or whatever. I believe it's $8 now. And if you have any questions, be sure to ask me. But there's Star Trek, there's Star Wars, and I tell them what's in there. And then they're also labeled so they can go, oh, well, I'm interested in Star Trek. So they'll pull over to the Star Trek stuff. Now, what I usually do, I will have it open to the print that I know gets the most attention. There's usually a color one or a black and white one that I know always catches people's eye as they walk by. I have one of Yoda that's real good for that. And I will open it up to that, and it'll be laying on the table, and people go, "Oh, Yoda!" So they'll stop and look, and then they'll go through the rest of the book. Everybody knows Yoda, and I've done a really detailed, nice portrait of him that I sell in prints. And then I have right next to that, I have a little sign that lists all the prices for my sketches.
Yeah.
Anybody asks, well, how much do you charge for a sketch? I go, well, there's my sign right there. You can check and see what it is. And I even line it out. It's so much for just a pencil. If you want it inked, it's this much more. If you want it colored, it's this much more. If you want an extra character, here's how much more that is. If you want anything more detailed than that or bigger than my 9x12, talk to me and we'll work something out. Boom, you're done. And then they can make up their mind whether they want one or not. Then I've also got right next to those prints, I've got a big portfolio with pages and other work that I've done, covers and such, so they can see what kind of things I can draw for them. So it's all visual sales primarily. I just kind of throw it out there, let them look at it. They'll see the prices. They'll see what I can do. Gee, that's it. I mean, what more do you need to know?
That's true.
And then if I can engage them in conversation about themselves, even, what brought you to the con? Was it Stan Lee down at the other end of the show, or was it what is it you're interested in here at the show? And somebody will walk by in a great costume and go, wow, wasn't that a great costume? Just anything to engage them in conversation. Mm-hmm. That's what I personally. Yeah. That's what I'm there for. I'm there to get some love from my fans and to talk to people.
Yeah. So be in the culture and I try to tell people looking good, love your costume. And there was a group of people that walked by, and they all were all in costume, and I was, oh, you guys look great. And there was a guy just with them, like carrying a bag, and I was like, you look awesome too. He took it completely the wrong way, turned around, whipped me off. Like it was like, whoa! I was being funny. I was being funny because they're. Okay, sorry, dude. Little touchy.
He was already upset.
Yeah, his costume was still at the cleaner.
Something else got him mad.
He was grumpy. I try to compliment people looking great.
Or maybe
if I know
you were
who
the
they
fifth person that tried to make that funny. After the first 4 times,
I hate this place. I hate it.
I was supposed to be Wolverine.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
You brought something else to mind when you were talking, Rob, and that is obviously the reason you should be there is to interact with the public and the fans and to make friends and to give the public a chance to meet you in person. Maybe they've been a fan for a while and they just want to see what you're like and want to see your artwork there. Maybe you've got some originals they're interested in or prints or what have you. What I've noticed, though, is that when I first started attending cons as a professional artist, we were all encouraged to draw sketches at the con. And we were told the conventional wisdom of the day was they want to see the magic happening. They want to see you drawing. They want to see how it unfolds. They want to see what talent it takes to bring an image, a powerful image from a blank piece of paper. While I understood that, I found it very challenging to produce really quality work in a crowded setting when I was also trying to be social and also trying to meet and talk to people. So what happens is 2 things. You develop a dual skill set over time where you can do that. The other thing is you eventually, like what I eventually did, was I realized I want to give these people my very best work, not something I hacked out while having a conversation about the latest episode of Fringe. I really do want to just like, do some good work. So what I've started doing is really getting pre-orders or doing a post-order situation where I won't draw live at the con, but I will have something for you if you pre-order or if you order something for later, and then I'll send it to you, that sort of thing. And the reason for that is, and there's no right or wrong answer here for all the aspiring artists out there. If you prefer to draw and develop that dual skill set where you can be social and draw at the same time, it's a great skill to have. But what I'm encouraging people is don't be afraid to just go to pre-orders and post orders and engage the people. It's more important to me that you make the connection.
Yeah, people are always more important.
You know, another little tidbit someone told me, I didn't come up with this, but they found if you can, it's really tough though to get electricity, is if you can have a TV screen. Yeah. That's another thing. It's just a psychological thing that people are drawn to it, especially so for like Silverline, if we could have our titles going through, or Rob or you or Dean, your artwork going while you're drawing, it's really cool. But that's tough because especially convention centers, you got to either pay extra.
Bring a generator.
No, I'm saying a screen that's like up. Yeah, run a gas generator.
Run a generator.
Rory, we should get a steam engine. Throwing logs in there.
Oh yeah, you should get a fog machine.
No, I have an iPad. I use it for my cash register, but I will sometimes have it scrolling through covers and other artwork. And I also bring along one of those little charge things. So if it runs low, I'll just plug it into that
battery.
And then when I go to the hotel that night, I plug everything in to recharge it all.
Yeah, I think if we had a big screen, Scott, and we just mirrored our laptop so people could watch us write.
We could write. Oh, yes. Oh, man. Maybe
like,
riveted.
Awesome.
Maybe
riveted.
We could put on track
then,
changes.
Oh, yeah.
And they could see every edit we make.
Yeah. And then delete it all like, oh, that was trash.
What? He just added a comma. Oh, my God.
You laugh.
What's that, the typewriter?
He's shortening that run-on sentence. Oh, my goodness.
He used a prepositional phrase and a gerund phrase. Wow, it's amazing. Look at that adverb.
Look at his fingers fly.
I know. So, you never know. There could be grammar people there who are like, hey, that's
that'll get the English majors.
They'll be,
Actually, you shouldn't use an ly there.
Wyatt, it's my Shakespeare fanfic.
Oh boy, the silliness reigns.
Well,
man,
we live. We can't deny it. We live in the world of our special nerdiness. Just like I said, any gathering of any, I've got a friend who's 60-something years old. He's part of the Blacksmith Association, and they get together and talk blacksmithery.
I want to do that.
So we're talking comic books and cosplay and sci-fi and anime, and that's us. That's us. We embrace it. But then you have the people who don't want to stop. In the alternate universe of the blah 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 blah.
Yes, the scholars and sages, right?
Yeah,
that's why Simpsons has comic book guy, and
yes.
This is a drawing of Snagglepuss. This is a picture of Sean Connery signed by Roger Moore.
I mean, there are so many variations of that character: the sage, the expert, the content expert that knows chapter and verse. Well, actually, at that point, the X-Men were on another planet. So
actually, but you know what? We love it. We go there. We embrace it. It's a safe space. It's the place where somebody can go and they can just geek out. And they'll find somebody. They'll find something like. Well, that's why we're here, Dean, so we can talk James Bond and Star Trek, and we can geek out on and say, no, wait a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
We all do it. That's what's great. So, of all the etiquette, yes, just allow people, appreciate it, and let them do their thing.
Be respectful of their time and be respectful of the time of the pros that you're visiting with. Now, here's a time management issue that a lot of people don't talk about. If you want to sell comics or prints or what have you at your table, and someone says, are you going to be here tomorrow? Now, there's a temptation there for the high-pressure sales types to say, well, I don't know.
This could be gone.
Depends. I mean, you may want to grab what you need now because it may not be here tomorrow. The nice way I like to present that is, I will, but this particular print might not be.
Yeah.
Right? We might be out of books. We might, you know what I mean? Like, you may want to go ahead and get these now because they're moving fast. And quite often, just be truthful.
Or order it online.
Right. If something's moving fast,
from the sales world, is you want to make it there. You never want to give them another option. You want to But you're right. You don't being a high. What's it going to take to get you get this print in your bag right now? No, you never want it. But you're right, Dean. Yeah, don't let them walk away, because really they'll walk away and they'll get distracted. They'll find some other shiny thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you want to. You don't want to be high. No, I don't think I've ever met a high pressure salesperson at a comic.
Not a con. No.
No, I mean, if we were at like an RV convention, you know, they want to sell you the camper.
But you want this?
You're gonna spend a week and go right now. We'll hit you up right now.
Drive this home today.
That's right. That's right.
What's it gonna take?
It's okay. Speaking of bad credit, it's okay. Believe it or not, even in 2022, kids, I've always been a cash only guy at cons. I know people have the card and all this stuff, but you know, what have you found, Rob? You say that you use the what do you use? The block,
I use the Square app.
The Square app. That's it.
Mr. Rob, ink by hand, uses and then Dean doesn't. Mm-hmm. Oh, the worlds are spinning out of control here.
Cash only,
multiverse
cash. You know what I'm saying? Because let's face it, in most venues, there's an ATM machine.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it really what it comes down to is its convenience, right?
Yeah.
And it may seem inconvenient to the person buying, but ultimately it works very well. I just prefer that. I always have.
Yeah, just make it a denomination. It's easy. 5, 10.
Yeah, that's what I've always done too.
The thing though,
10s.
This is 1834 for this print.
No, $20. You're out.
I need one button, and
right.
If you have any gummy bears,
you should send them on a quest to find something else before you
bring
me a napkin from the concession stand.
That would be interesting. The price is a quest to go find
plastic cup.
Interesting items. Okay,
that would that actually would be very cool. You know, back in the day when I drank a lot of energy drinks, you know, say if you could find me silver ice right now, it's $5 less for you.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. But, you know, ultimately it becomes, you know, what works for you. If I'm going to be the type of person that says cash only, I'm certainly going to be polite enough to make it even numbers, right? I'm just going to say, you know, $20 for this print, $10 for this, $5 for this signed comic, and leave it at that. Because otherwise people are not going to wait for change. I'm not one to want to make change. Other than, you know, paper money.
You don't have one of those belts with like the silver tubes on it?
No, not anymore. Not since I worked at the convenience store as a kid. But
see, my one reservation about that is in the sales world, removing the impediments to the sale.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah. And yes, while it's still $5. And you, as the sale, making the sale, you only get $4.92. You've still made a sale, whereas sending somebody off to the ATM might kill the sale.
It might lose the sale. Correct.
I don't know if you
always a risk.
But if you have weighed out for you, just dealing with cash is worth it. That maybe one or two people that are too lazy to shuffle off to the ATM, it might be worth it. But
this brings me to another very, very important rule for artists. Get your pay in advance. If it is an expensive piece, get at least half in advance. I can't tell you, there have been, you know, most people are very honest, nice people, but there have been times where I was asked to do a pinup and the person never came back to collect it. Therefore, time was spent. And money was recovered. And you learn by making those mistakes early on. Get paid for it in advance, and they will most likely come get it. I've had maybe one that paid and never came and got it, and then I got in touch with them and so on. But in terms of being a smart business person, a lot of creative people are not naturally smart business people. We have to learn by experience.
Oh yeah, Scott, you have something to
say. Rory, so from the writer's side, from somebody who can't draw, oh man, I wish I could draw, because if I could draw and write, my life would be so different. So from the writer's side, dealing with artists, Dean, I do not get this. Rob, I do not get this as being flaky. artistic types. And I write. I sit and dream. I sit and dream up worlds. Don't flake out. Now, I have a real world example. Our first artist flaked out on us. RUNNOFT'd, just completely disappeared.
Gave us a couple of prototype
after getting paid. Now, fully paid in full, but knew that there were a few little I needed little jots and tittles taken care of. Knew that it was full commitment. The conversation was, we're gonna wait till the very end when I have all the art. I'm gonna look through it. Rory and I are gonna look. Now this page, this needs to change. Disappeared. Now here's my real world example. I was at a convention talking with another steampunker, and he said, "Oh, I almost didn't buy your comic book because of your artist."
Interesting.
He doesn't live anywhere near me. Our world is too small to flake out. And so I'm just one, and now two. I know two instances where that people know this artist has flaked out. How many others are there? You can't do that. So I'm imploring artists, don't flake out. Or if something happens, if your car breaks down, if you run out of graphite in your pencil and you can't get to the store, send your writer, send them an email. Hey, man, I'm running behind. And we all get it. You've taken on too many projects because it's feast or famine in the art world.
Absolutely. Yes.
Hey, Scott, I'm inundated. I'm up to my eyeballs in work right now. And I'll be like, awesome, man. You're making money.
That's a good problem to have.
Just keep me in the loop. Don't disappear on me.
Right.
So this is out of the con realm. But as an artist, you got to be reliable. You got to produce. And I've got, Dan, our editor that helped us with Steam Patriots, or he was in the bullpen at Marvel for a while, and his job was calling artists and be like, "Hey, I need pages 10 through 52. Where are they?" And he'd be leaving. This is in the 90s, so he's leave a message. He's like leaving messages. This is in the Marvel world still,
right?
Why? And you
again. Professionalism, which we've covered many times here.
Sorry, I veered off.
It was a worthy rant because
if I could create my own comic book, if we could just create.
Yes. And that wasn't even the first artist. I mean, we had like 3 artists beforehand.
Yeah.
And they're like, nope, sorry, too much.
In the art world too, like especially in the freelance world, it's tough to say, you know what, something better came up. You can't to not jump on a better opportunity. I get it. It's tough. But don't flake out. Just communicate.
Yes, that's the key.
I'm sorry, man. Vanish.
Exactly, Rob.
Vanish.
Yeah, don't
ghost.
Don't just vanish.
Yeah, I broke my hand. I went blind. I don't know. Tell me.
Tell him. I've been inducted by
I can't afford any more pencils. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't have any electricity.
Well, that falls under the professionalism banner as well. Just communicate with your colleagues. Let them know what's happening.
And that goes both ways.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you're a writer, don't disappear on your artist.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's happened to me a couple of times. I have a question about the story. And I can't get a hold of it.
Yeah.
I've tried everything, and I can't get a hold of you.
Yeah.
That goes both ways. That's very, very rare.
Yeah.
But I have gotten jobs because artists have
just
flaked on
disappeared.
others. They do great work, but they can't meet a schedule, or there are some people that success scares the crap out of them.
You're right. Yep.
That's hard for me to understand, but I have seen it enough to know it does happen. There are some people who they want it so bad, but when they get that close,
they don't know.
They choke. They can't quite make that last step. They're listening to that little voice that we all have.
Yeah, you're going to mess this up.
You're faking it, man. You're not good enough. You're blah. They're starting to listen to that. They're going to catch on to you before you get this done. So no. First of all, don't.
That's funny. No one's caught me yet.
He's full of crap.
Yeah.
That voice is full of crap.
Right.
Aaron's
Don't
always
listen to that voice.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a real voice from Aaron. That's not in your head. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, don't
Don't
listen to that
do
voice.
not listen. Right. So that's good.
Yeah.
Now I want to segue into the length of shows. Now, at the peak of its popularity, Comic-Con began on a Wednesday night.
Wow.
So we would fly out, and there was like what they'd call a soft opening or a professional opening, and you were allowed to see
preview night. Some places
preview
call
night.
It, yeah,
allowed to see the setup and the VIPs, and you could walk through. And, wow, look at this dude's stuff! Wow, look at this dude's stuff. The night before the general public arrived. So you started Wednesday night, then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, boom, 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 building up to the crescendo of Saturday afternoon, which everyone knows is peak time, peak crowds, peak sales, peak excitement. You know, it becomes the Circus Maximus from Gladiator at that point. So there you are. You know, you're there, and you know you're in the thick of it. But a lot of times, you've got to realize, okay, how long is too long for a con, right? Because then you've got Sunday. Now, Sunday is often known as sale day, right? Because last day, you want to dump as much merch as you can before you close down and go home. You want to make those sales that you maybe missed the previous days. After experiencing San Diego at that length and that duration, and the 2-day shows and even the 1-day show, I can attest I've made the most money I've ever made at a 1-day show, a Saturday. It was 1 day. Urgency of time sold more prints than I've ever sold in 1 day in my life. Right?
Yeah.
I can
see that.
That says a lot. The 5-dayers where you're out of town and you're wiped out completely by the time it's all over with, you made close to the same amount sometimes that you did in that 1 day.
And it's exhausting.
My ideal con duration, honestly, is a day or a day and a half.
Yeah.
2 days.
A Saturday and a Sunday that ends at
Saturday and a partial Sunday.
Sunday that ends at 2.
Yeah, I was going to pick your brain on that too. Rob, what are your thoughts on what's your favorite duration and why for a con?
Well, if I have to travel a ways, I want at least a 2-day show.
Yeah.
Correct.
I want 2 days of opportunity to try and sell people stuff. You know, if I have to travel that far, I want to, you know, I'm going to have to stay the night anyway if it's far enough. So if it's a 1-day show, I've got to stay a night anyway. So it'd be nice to have the next day at least a partial day to complete it. But I will admit that the one or a very short 2nd-day show are the ones that I make the most money on as well.
Correct.
Because you're right, there is that pressure to buy. But at the same time, the 3-day show, like Planet Comic-Con is, it's a Friday, starts at noon, runs till 8. Saturday is 9 or 10 to 5. And then Sunday is 10 to 4. I do most of my sales, it's weird. Most of my sales I do on Friday.
Yeah.
I
Isn't that interesting?
I can't explain it.
Can't explain it.
But I do a lot of my sales are on Friday. Sometimes Saturday is as good, maybe just a little bit better. Sunday is, you know, you got those few stragglers who came or have been there all 3 days. They're coming the last day. They're coming back to you going, yeah, I saw this. And I'm going, I understand. All kinds of people come through the show. So I make a few sales on Sunday to kind of clean up. But I start packing. Shh, don't tell the promoter.
Yeah.
I start packing about 1.
Yeah.
Starts at 10. At 1 o'clock, I'm starting to pull things down.
Oh, sure.
I leave up the stuff. The very last bit that's there is like the prints because I could sell them right up to the last minute.
Right.
But by 2 o'clock, my drawing board is gone.
Yeah.
Now I have a pad off to the side. I say, I don't have enough time to do sketches today, but if you want me to do one in my studio for you, here, tell me what you want. I'll tell you how much it'll be. I will email you the first pencil, if it's penciled and inked or something, I'll email you what it looks like, and then you can tell me if that's okay for you or not. And then when I finish it up, you pay.
Mhm.
I'm just the opposite. I don't take all the money up front. I don't take any money up front because I've had a few people who paid me and didn't come back for their, and I really feel bad about taking people's money
Understand.
without them getting anything.
Right.
And if it's and most sketches I do are usually something I can sell later on if I have to. So I don't worry about that. I'll take the money at the end. But yeah, a 1 or 2 day show is probably ideal.
Okay.
A 3-day show, Sunday is usually the wasted day.
It is.
And it's the stragglers.
It's the stragglers. It is indeed. Rory, your first show was that 3-day show in Memphis. It starts Friday, usually a little around noon.
Mm-hmm.
Then, all day Saturday, half a day Sunday. What were your thoughts on that show as a newbie?
Well, I think it was good that it was a smaller show.
Yeah.
It wasn't nearly as overwhelming. It had a good pace to it, and just to see like the peaks and valleys of people moving through.
Yeah.
Granted, us enough time to get up and walk around to see
Right.
other stuff, stretch your legs and all that.
That's nice. Yeah.
It is
I
very
don't get
nice.
enough of that anymore.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
stuck
true.
behind the table.
Scott, what about you, my friend? What's your ideal show?
A 2 or 3 day, because Rob's right. And a lot of times there are a lot of people too that this isn't their career, and they have to take a day off of work. They got to buy an airline ticket, or they got to drive, and they're going to drive. People are dedicated to this, and for all the consumers out there, people on the other side of the table walking around.
Sure.
These artists, they're putting their heart and soul into this. And I mean, for instance, in September, Rory's going to drive from Ohio. I'm going to drive from New York down to Florida. I'm going to take 2 days to get to Florida because I'm dedicated. I really want to do this to come to Daytona.
I'm skipping school that day.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll be there, guys. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh yes.
But you're right. It's got to be worthwhile. But also, you can't give up your life Wednesday, Thursday. A Friday night. I like a couple years ago. I think if I remember correctly, Nickel City Con in Buffalo was a Friday evening. Saturday, Sunday, then ended at 2, and it was perfect. And they had some big names, and they did some celebrities and stuff. But it was a good because
it's good that one's back because they canceled.
That's coming. They got a 2023 show coming. I think I want to be there. But yeah, it's worth your while. But not that beats the life out of you because then Monday morning a lot of times you got to go back to work and you're just drained and dead because you've been talking nonstop.
You're stuck in cell mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, you like comics? Hey, you like sci-fi? Hey, you like fantasy? Hey.
I did that to my professors when I got back from Memphis. And I gave them all a copy of my comic. They're like, oh yeah,
you like steampunk? Yeah. Hey, you like American history? Hey.
Our comic, Steam Patriots, is hanging in the faculty corridor on a corkboard, and it gets passed around still. So
that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. That is
Very
awesome.
good.
Even my film and literature professor has changed his course to be film and other visual medium, and I'm trying to convince him
he's got to buy 100 copies every semester.
Mandate that his students buy it.
So Rory, we have to update it just like every college textbook. We gotta have the updated 2022
version,
9th edition with.
That's brilliant.
They have to buy that
brilliant.
With updated historical accuracy.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
now
of course.
Comic book, now a textbook. We write curriculum, Rory.
Oh, I had a philosophy professor the first time I went to college that did that. He wrote his own comic book of philosophy and
that's awesome.
Made us all buy it.
Nice. Very nice. Off camera, maybe at the con we'll discuss the Monday after the red eye flight from San Diego that I experienced at work. Well, that was fun. Woohoo! But man, you know when you're
zombie
just
mode,
zoned out at work, and it's like Office Space. Have you guys ever seen the movie?
Yeah.
You'll love it,
right?
Love
where
it.
you're just kind of staring off into space for a while. Is it lunch yet?
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Okay, so that brings us down. It's here we are. We're coming down the end of the show. It's a perfect time to discuss the end of a con. How do you guys feel about discounting merch on a Sunday? What are your thoughts? Let's start with Rob. Rob, thoughts
Nope.
discounting merch on a Sunday?
I don't do it.
Okay. Tell us why.
I have a really low price to start with.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
that's a good point.
I price them right that I think they'll sell at.
And you keep that the whole duration of the con. You don't change
the
that.
full duration of the con. People come back now. If somebody comes back on Sunday and they want to buy 7 or 8 prints, I'll make them a deal.
Yeah.
I was going to say that bundle discounts, right?
I will do bundle discounts. In fact, I do those the whole weekend, but
right.
Generally when I do them, they'll be on Sunday. But no, I don't knock prices off. At least not on the last day. No.
Okay. Scott.
But I understand why you would want to do that.
I do that. Yes, I do that. Scott.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was going to say I think it's kind of like not expected, but if ever there's a time to ask, what do you think about? That's the time to do it. For somebody. Because it also means sometimes they got to fly. That's less stuff to take home, less stuff to pack up.
Absolutely.
I know sometimes even again at like motorcycle or trade shows like that. I've been to a bunch of those. One of my coworkers bought displays because it was a show. He could just throw them all in his trailer. These people had to load them up, trailer them, fly home. He's like,
"That's really
what
smart.
about I'll buy your table. I'll buy your banners." And they're like, yeah, that saves us from having to pack them. Deal.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So Sunday's kind of like that. You're right. It's not like expected, but if ever there's a time to wheel and deal, try to get that deal. Yeah. I would say be open to it. Maybe not necessarily advertise it, but you know what? Sometimes, Rob, I'm gonna talk you up here. Your art's great. So like sometimes it's like if your art's really good. No.
No, he doesn't have to discount.
I don't need to. I'm going to sell it. I'll sell it the next con.
It's also fair pricing with Rob.
Rob's
telling you, he does fair pricing. So, Roy, what are your thoughts on Sunday discounts? Go.
All for it, especially if you have somebody that's come back to the booth a number of times or brought somebody else with them, which happened to us.
Yeah.
Okay, I have been known to do that.
Yeah,
it blew my mind that somebody brought their friend over and was like,
she brought her mom. Remember that? She brought her mom over, and her mom was like,
"These are the guys." Yeah, or they didn't have to give him a pitch. They were like, "Yeah, I'll take one. Here's $5." I'm like, "All right."
That's awesome.
Or if it's a good conversation. It's like them selling themselves to you. And you giving them a discount. It's like, I will absolutely do that. If you're that into it and it can hold a great conversation about it. Yeah, you're a customer for life. That's it.
And and we have some extra. We got a few bookmarks left over. We got some little business cards from patches. A lot of times, here you go. You're awesome.
Sure.
Okay, so also
thanks for being normal
for etiquette. To people attending. If you're cool and you're fun.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna love it. Yeah, you're awesome. I love
You're more likely to get a deal.
Exactly.
What about little things?
If you're friendly and
you're bringing up giveaways.
That's
a good idea.
Again, a fine line because a lot of times they're not cheap. If you think of it like
not anymore,
I'm giving you $1. If you think of it like that, here's $1 every time. So with our campaigns, when we do our stretch goals and stuff.
Sure.
Especially Roland and Barb who cooks the books for Silverline. I mean, keeps the books. Barb who keeps the books. You've got to be like, okay, we're gonna buy 100 of these at this many monies and give them away. That's really that's money we're giving away.
Right.
So you got to think, and also you don't want to. Okay, if 100 of them cost this much. Well, I should buy 1,000 of them. No, because you're gonna have boxes of 1,000 stickers or 1,000 keychains,
or buttons, or bookmarks, or that.
And then you're giving them away, and you think, okay, that's 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents. Sure. You got to really be smart about it. So I would either something really cheap, or something quality, but be really judicious about it. And if somebody buys your product. And they're really cool and into it, that's the time to give them that extra thing. I don't know. So we've got these patches.
I would love that if we could do enamel pins, but they are so expensive.
Yeah. Unless you order 10,000 of them. But then there's still, you're talking 80 cents a piece, $1. If you think of it like that,
89 cents. I got a recent offer for 89 cents for them.
Yeah,
but they want 100.
Right.
But they want to sell you 100, and I can't use 100.
Right. You can't.
Yeah, exactly.
50 maybe.
Yeah.
But they can't. But they won't give me 50. So.
And which is a weird business dynamic. As somebody who doesn't know what they're doing and say, "Oh, okay, that's a good deal. I have that many to give away." And,
don't do it. You're not at a trade show. You're not IBM or Intel or whatever. Right. You're not giving away pens. Mm-hmm. You got to be really judicious about
golf
it.
Tees,
that's tough. I would tell people, these are this many monies each.
Right.
And then if they were cool and they bought the comic and they chatted, you know what? Here you go. Thanks for being awesome. Tell your friends.
Post prices too for everything on the table.
Yeah.
So important thing we want to cover here at
an hour with Scott, $60.
That's at least.
Sure.
At least.
Wow. Yeah. That's
You want Scott to talk your ear off?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do that, Rory. That's tough.
I can talk for me. I'll do it.
The one last
and another thing.
How dare you?
One last thing I want to cover here before we go, and that is, what about the display itself? Now, I've run the full gamut from a huge folding backdrop with lighting, free tables in front, full skirted, with the whole bit, framed pieces of art on the Velcro walls and all this other, all the way down to a good old-fashioned stand-up banner behind me and a skirt on the table. So I can tell you, the big flashy backdrop really didn't do measurable anything. We had that because I was exhibiting with two colleagues who were also artists. So we would do the shows together, and we would have this giant folding backdrop. And so it was an impressive setup in that respect. It brought people into the room, especially at smaller cons. But let me tell you, once you pay for shipping this thing to California and shipping it back in, a dozen different boxes and this, that, and the other, even with my FedEx discount, it still did not pay for itself. So I would recommend people keep it lean, keep it mean, do a stand-up banner behind you, a nice, clean, dark tablecloth that really shows off your material, whether you're a writer and you're selling books or an artist and selling work. What do you guys think? Thoughts, Scott?
Agreed. Keep it simple. It's funny. I guess the greatest advice I could give, and this is not me, I want to get to this point, be so good that you don't need it and people come to you. That's
sure.
If you could be so I'm
like
sorry, blank Chaikin. Is his first name Howard Chaikin?
Howard Chaikin.
He had a table.
He was great.
That was it. A table.
So
he's
good.
like, and people are showing up like in line.
His personality was loud enough that he didn't need.
Ideal situation. Be so good. You're there and you're whatever. You write your name on with a Sharpie. Slap
right on the wall.
Just a notebook paper and scotch tape it behind you on the wall, right?
Just show up.
Guys,
you got to go. But the banner. This is actually much of an investment. There's lots of places out there, and they're this big once they're in their bag. And then the table. Silverline's got a nice. Get the stretchy one if you can. That's really cool. The one that stretches over the table. Keep it simple, and because really, if you're hopping on a plane, or if you got to load up the family station wagon to drive there, keep it simple. And also because once you get there too, you got to get the cart, and you got to the freight elevator. You got to go around find the parking lot, and then you got to move your van, and everybody's mad at you because people are lined up, and you're unloading. Oh, just a second.
Buy a dolly. Buy a dolly.
Yes.
Merch.
Yep. And
don't get a cheap one. Go ahead and get the full heavy duty one. Put your boxes on it.
Milk crates.
And be organized. So when you get there, you can unpack it all. Some of them are huge, and that's cool. I don't. But you're right. The return on investment for those big things. I think it's maybe not worth, unless you're a bigwig. Unless you've got the budget.
If you're Alex Ross, go ahead and go full
his
on.
San Diego display, but he's wow.
He's got like a wall, like a 50-foot tall, giant display. It's crazy. But again, that's 1% of the.
So simple
work.
Advice.
Yeah.
Be as good as Alex Ross. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. Just go for it.
All right, that's my advice.
Now, if you're like Rob Davis,
Who's even better than Alex Ross.
Oh, yeah, right.
You bring a blank banner
Alex
and draw
Ross
on it while you're there.
Alex Ross is the dollar store Rob Davis.
I drive to all my shows, so I don't have to worry about packing it up for an airplane or any of that. But I have the one of those photography things where it folds down to like a tripod.
Sure.
And then you can extend it up to almost 10 feet.
Yeah.
And then there's a bar that goes across, and I put a black sheet up there. Okay. And then I have a banner printed that has my name, and it shows images of the prints that I sell and how much they are, and my name, and then it has a caricature of me on it. So, and what I found interesting is one of my family suggested, well, why don't you get some of those Christmas lights that come with a battery, and just put those around there and put them up there to flash slowly.
Oh, that's
that's a good one.
And it gets attention and people see it.
Sure.
But you're, for the most part, just a banner behind a table will usually do it. But sometimes I want to be a little bigger than that. So but it's black, so everything stands out.
Sure.
And the tablecloth I take with me is black, and I have a blue runner that I put on top of it. And everything stands out when you put it on something dark like that.
Just looking professional, just not looking schlocky.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
clean.
it. That's what I'm doing. Is I'm
people are going to walk by.
Professional.
If you've got a card table and 4 comic books sitting on it, and you're sitting there staring at your phone, people are going. They're not going to.
Yeah, you're going to have the greatest. I've learned the hard way to ask the question of the people organizing the show: do I have electricity? Do I have electricity in the corner? Are there plugs in that corner where I'm placed, right? Because you want to have either light above you or a way to plug in lights.
Yep.
And if they allow extension cords, tape it to the ground.
And find out the size of the tables too. Like because
6 or 8.
6 or 8. Prefer 8.
Yeah.
You can get the 8 foot. And how is
the width is different too in some shows.
Yeah. Right.
I found
they're very narrow.
So find out what those are,
and endear yourself to the organizer. Again, give props to Roland. Roland is like a friend, everybody's friend. He's awesome. We had a table behind us that was empty, and Roland was super friendly. He's like, you know what? Can we move into this? It was empty. No, the guy didn't show up.
Sure.
And Roland's such a nice guy and had been so amenable the entire time. Like, if the guy doesn't show up by 11 o'clock, it's yours. So we had 2 sides of it. We had 2 aisles. It was funny. People would ignore us on one side, and they go around. And it would be like, "Hey, I just walked by you on the other side."
Yeah, a lot of double takes. It was good.
I thought I just saw you.
Yeah, you just.
Well, Rob, are you going to be with us here at Daytona in September? Or no?
Not this year.
Not this year. Okay.
I checked.
Okay.
Roland last year asked me if I could go, and I couldn't because I don't want to go by myself. I want to take my wife with me.
Absolutely.
My wife has retired, so she didn't make up her mind till almost into the school year this year whether she was going to do that or not. So I emailed Roland and I said, "Can I join you in Daytona in September?" And he goes, "This table spaces are all done. I don't have any room for you to come. I'd like for you to, but I can't fit you in." He says, "But next year, you're on the list." So
good.
Not this
year,
fall.
We should have way more tables.
But next year.
They should rename the Daytona. It should be the Silverline Con.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Well, why not?
Yeah,
I
know.
Suggest that.
Yeah,
I'm going to suggest that.
Dean, you gotta pitch the con. We're gonna all be there. If anybody's anywhere,
we're gonna all be there.
Anywhere near North America.
Give us the date, Scott.
In 23. In 23, I'll be there. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So this year it's the 10th and the 11th
of September.
The September Daytona Beach Comic Convention, and I was there last year. It was awesome. It was a really well done convention. It's got the small and friendly vibe, but it's big. It's big, and it occupies 2 buildings, and it's a mix.
Wow.
And it's very comic centric. It's a mix of great creators and art. They got great artists, great venue. air conditioned. Except they kept propping the door open by me, and I'm a Yankee from the north, and it's all humid. The door, I was like, who keeps leaving the door open?
Come on, close
I got
the
that.
door,
Got the
kids.
stank. The
hygiene. And
I know. Yeah. What did Paige say? Shower at least once a day.
At least once.
Yeah.
Yes. And Axe spray doesn't count. Hygiene.
Yeah.
It just
It's a great. It's a lot of fun. It's the kind of convention you can spend 2 days, multiple days at. And they treated all of the vendors really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
All of us, and I felt, I kind of
Southern hospitality.
Yeah, I'm a nobody there in the grand scheme of cons, and I felt kind of VIP. They were super nice. They checked on all the tables. So Daytona Beach Comic Con, September 10th and 11th.
Come join us,
and it's going to be a Silverline extravaganza.
It is, and when you come up to us, we'd like you to say, we'd just like you to say, make mine
Silverline.
Hi, my name is Sergio Cariello, and make mine Silverline.